Acid Base here with Andrew. So I'm Alex with Acid Base. Waiting for Hector. I'm a truck driver now. I got my CDL. Gotta try it. Mexican Coke in a bottle. So we arrived to Airbnb number 2. I didn't set up the mics at all. Airbnb in Monterey. This is actually just like enough.
2 men. 2 paths.
We're gonna miss the bike cutoff.
1 mission.
The open water is a beast.
1 unforgettable story.
20 minutes out from the start of Ironman.
I'm having some regrets here, man. Dude, I want a better bike. Oh! Ah, there's one, but...
What is going on, everybody? Happy Friday. Welcome to podcast Acid Base. Going to be joined today by Ryan Smith with Purple Squirrel. Talk about some recruiting stuff and general life things. And let's just get right into it. What is going on, man?
Hey, brother. How's it going?
I like the podcast studio, man. It beats where I'm at today.
Well, I knew you were going to be out of studio, so I figured I'd create one for us.
One of us has to be prepared.
My podcast starter kit here. We're going to start selling them on Amazon for $79.99.
This just consists of a plastic folding picnic table.
Yeah, pretty much. And, you know, this box is like actually a part for my hot water heater that I have to return. But, hey, improvise and overcome.
I mean, I think you put in a more effort than some podcasters do, to be completely honest.
Well, everyone needs a podcast these days, it seems like. It's the cool thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, you got Purple Squirrel, you got the nest, you're in your nest. Are you going to be joining us out of your nest at all throughout the show?
Yeah, actually, I can't really see you anyhow because my desk is about 10 feet in front of me. So, you know, I say let's just get rid of the starter pack, make this happen.
All right, man, let's get you. I won't even lie, that's probably one of the funniest ways I've ever seen somebody start a podcast.
Oh, man. So what's going on, man?
Welcome back to reality, man. Now that we can actually see each other.
There's some sunlight in here.
Yeah.
Friday.
About to be dark where I'm at. It must be nice to have some sun.
All day, man. That's why we moved down to Florida.
All right, man. Tell the people what you're doing, what Purple Squirrel is doing, and then let's get into some agent kind of conversations.
Yeah, well, Purple Squirrel, I started about 2 years ago. And after being an agent and being a broker, you know, everyone wants to pivot in their 40s, it seems like. And, you know, I love slinging freight, but it just burns you out. So I said, what can I do around here? And, you know, took a look around the industry and, you know, and I thought to myself for a long time, I said, you know, what do I really enjoy? And a lot of it when I had all my sub agents was mentoring them and helping them however I could. And then when I had my brokerage, you know, we had a few agents. So I really kind of fell into, you know, helping small businesses, both an agent or agency, as well as brokers. So, you know, now I get to sleep at night, no check calls at 3 o'clock in the morning. And, you know, really just putting myself out there with creating the network that we have with all of our brokerages, they go through a vetting process just like we do with agents, right? Because we strive to do more of a Match.com opposed to a Tinder. We want long-term retention and make sure it's a good fit. So, when you see these agents that are like open to work and a day later they're signing an agreement with a brokerage, a lot of red flags, man. Like, do they even
I just want to stop you for a second. I guess Match.com is a little bit before my time. Is that like a better version of Tinder? Like,
yeah, they aimed at like, I don't know,
long-term marriages.
Yeah, long-term marriage as opposed to just, short-term hookups. Now, see, Tinder wasn't even around when I was in my 20s, but it's right. It's about finding the right fit for these, these books, and they're all different, man. And every brokerage is different. I shouldn't say most of them are all the same. We'll call it 20,000 of them are all the same. And, the top ones that we work with and we represent, I think the youngest one is 5 years old and the oldest one's about 24, and their revenue goes from 10 million to 100 million plus. So, I mean, these are very well run machines at this point. So that's when we feel proud to be able to put the right agent with them, depending on their resources, the tools, and everything else that they may need. And even without a book,
I like this. Brokermatch.com is better than broker Tinder.
Love it.
I mean, I had a business meeting today, and like I think this kind of hits home where it's like not every customer is a good customer. That's something I've kind of been saying more often and thinking about heavily, right? Because when you're like starting in business and you're starting a business, let's say, even like in the early days, you just think, money's money, every customer needs to be serviced. And then like as you kind of mature and go through some things, you're like, some customers are not worth the effort,
Oh, absolutely, man. I've had it myself. It's the race to the bottom. The CC 300 agents, and then they still asking for rates, and it's like right to spam. I mean, I've had them call me after 3 months. They're like, "How come you like respond to RFQs?" I'm like, "It goes to spam. Oops,
I mean, let's talk about some things that make brokerages stand out and that makes your company work with them. I mean, what are some things that these brokerages all have in common, or maybe some things that differentiate them even amongst themselves?
What I look for is a brokerage that's really specialized in either a type of freight, some specialty, or a specific equipment type. Not a Walmart. The second portion we look at is, do they factor or not? My own opinion is factoring is not conducive to a strong agent program, just because of the credit. What are you going to do with $2,500? You're going to want move one load. So they have to be usually under self-underwriting, self-funded. It's really nice, if they insure the receivables, which I believe every single one of them does. And then from there, their support. Support is kind of it's a key word that they all use, the buzzword rather. If they have the actual staff, we look at, where's your staff? Are they all third-party outsourced, or are they, in office? How many do you have in office? Are they W-2? Are they separate departments? Do they all have a specialized department? And then, we look at their tech stack too. Everyone's got the best tech in the world. But
yeah, I mean, that's actually interesting. I want to go through the tech stuff. I mean, what are the key things? I mean, let's go TMS, right? Because TMS is always the thing that's kind of like the hot button issue. I mean, what are like the top, let's say, 3 TMSs that you hear agents want to be using if they're given a choice?
Ascend, Revenova, and maybe Turbo.
Yeah, I keep hearing a lot of good things about Turbo, actually. I always like the Ascend, personally. I enjoy using Ascend.
That's my love. I used it when I had my brokerage as well. I loved it. It was no nickel and dime. It's just a straightforward product, and it
just works.
Yeah, it just exactly. And the ecosystem they have, just inviting partners, which creates more resources for the brokers and the agents. And we kind of adopt a little bit of that within our business too, where we try to collaborate with companies, that may be sales tools, like Bread AI. That's a new one on the market. I've looked at it myself. I even actually used it myself just to test it. And now we have, I don't know, 2 or 3 different brokerages using it. And the feedback is like, dude, this is great. This is a very cost-effective alternative to Zoom Info. And then our recent one, well, I actually can't even announce it, but next week or two, there'll be another announcement. This one focuses on the operations side. So if you're a cradle to grave agent, this thing's amazing. I don't know if you can see the paper on my wall up there, but a few years ago, 4 years ago, I took an attempt to create my own AI, which was called FreightBot. And this company essentially does exactly what FreightBot did, but the technology evolved so much with the machine learning, all the models. So I was like, I got to get on board. Like, I have to get on board behind this thing. So we look at it like, hey, if there's an agent that we can help, because our success is their success, is the broker's success, the way that we work. We're not just putting asses in seats and setting an invoice for a net 30 and saying, hey, I hope it works out. Not the case. We're in it for a fairly long time as far as the agent, staying with that brokerage. So, like I said, we try to bring tools to them that they may not be using or not aware of on the sales side and the operations side.
What are some things you see in agent programs where brokerages make? Like, what are some of the top mistakes that some of these agent programs are making as far as, let's say, like tech, or just any glaring things that kind of make you think, that's kind of a red flag?
Mindset first, dude. Mindset first, all day, every day. If they're looking at an agent program and they just started their brokerage and they're like, hey, this is our main revenue stream, you're going to fail. You're going to fail. Until you have your house in order, you can't help anybody else. It's no different than an airplane, right? They say put your mask on first and then help others. So if your house is not in order, you can't help anybody else. So, and when I say house in order, have your internal staff, even if it's just support, dialed in, have your SOPs, specialize in something. If you're looking at it just for a revenue stream, it doesn't work. It just simply does not work. If you're like, hey, our agents are our customers. Everybody says that, but unless they feel it in here, it's not going to be successful, because passion drives success. So, and if they're, if the brokerage is like a couple months old, they have no business credit. So, which means if you're bringing over a purple squirrel with a healthy book of business, they're going to have a hell of a time getting carriers to work with them and their factoring companies. So they're not even ready for it. So I would say, work on your internal first. And then if you want to bring on an agent program, yeah, absolutely, down the road.
I mean, as we're talking about financials, I got to ask this today, actually. I'm curious what your opinion is, just so I don't forget to ask you. Somebody, like imagine there's this hypothetical person that has money to start a brokerage, and then they asked me, like, should they go into factoring to start, or should they fund it themselves to start? What would you say? Like,
that's rough, dude. I mean, because either you're betting on, you're utilizing gambling with your own money, or you're gambling with somebody else's. The fees, yeah, I mean, you can work that in. You can potentially use those as a tax situation and potential deductions. But I would say, as long as you're not utilizing it for an agent program, good, because you use it, you build your internal, you get rid of it. Now you can self-fund, you get a nice, healthy line of credit to bank, what have you, and then only use your factoring for maybe very unique situations.
So basically, I mean, we all know that the agent model has kind of been this thing that kind of just exploded seemingly out of thin air. Like, I mean, I feel like I didn't even hear anything about any of this kind of stuff in the LinkedIn space until about 1 to 2 years ago, maybe.
It's been around. I mean, you look at some of the big guys, right? And some of your publicly traded brokerages, they've had them since the 90s, and they've been very successful. I think why you're hearing so much now is, well, there's just a lot of echo chamber on LinkedIn and other social media, and there's a lot of fly-by-night pop-up, what I call like broheme brokerages, and I've seen a lot of this, man, in probably the last 5, 6, 7 years. 2 guys or gals will work together at a mega broker. They will build a book, hopefully they take their vacation from their non-compete, because most of the time they have one, and they start building a brokerage. And then overnight, they're like, hey, we're a broker. We're non-asset based. Let's go. And I always thought to myself, like, man, when I was starting, when I'm hitting like McRae's Blue Book, and trying to find industry contacts, stuff like this. I mean, this is before Zoom Info and Apollo and all the other contact
Yeah,
databases.
let me tee you up for that then. Let's talk about how was the agent program and how was all of this kind of working back then versus obviously now it's a lot easier in social media space to just spam posts and talk about stuff like that. But how was the agent model and how was everything how did it work back then? How did it look back then?
I mean, a lot of it was, email campaigns and phone campaigns, but people actually responded to emails back then. You didn't have contact databases that were as easy, I would say, as we have now. But social media, I wasn't even on social media until 3 years ago, I think it was, as far as just LinkedIn. So, it was still relationship driven. There was a lot of, I guess, parties and, there was a few conferences, but a lot of it was just, taking a red eye, hopping on a plane, going, seeing somebody, coming back and get back to work, get on those phones. It was just pound and pound and pound and phones. The commissions were lower. This 70-30 being the standard these days is, I think, driven by a lot of non-asset based brokerages that don't have any other value to bring to the table except for just high splits. But when it comes to your book of business as an agent and someone's career, the split is, I'll call it 10% of the overall big picture. It's literally what, well, here's one right here. It's what lives in all these documents that are important. And the split is,
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. It's something I didn't think about much until you just said it, where it's like offering the higher percent when you have no assets is all you have to offer at that point, right? Because if you have assets, you have something, you have some more value, you also have some more costs. So obviously 60-40 makes a bit more sense, or 65-35, however you may have it.
Yeah, and they'll say we have outstanding support. Well, 2 people overseas, that's not support. That's customer service at best, 9 to 5, or 9 to 6.
I love how much the outsourced stuff just gets absolutely shredded on, and like deservingly, because of how poorly some people do it. Like, I mean, most, like, let's just say how it is. Like, most people outsource not very well. Like,
No, and there's they have a great value add if you have your house in order. And
Yeah.
I told a friend, it had to have been probably 7 years ago. I was like, man, this outsourcing thing is really, gaining some traction. It was only back when there was, maybe 2 that I know of that I had, outsourcing companies. And I said, watch, you're going to start seeing freight agents coming from these countries. He's like, what do you mean? I said, they're working U.S. logistics books of business essentially for them, on the ops side. They're going to start poaching customers. And lo and behold, but every month I'll get someone from overseas, either, South America or Europe. And they're like, hey, I got a book of business. And you look at it, you're like, it's not really your book, But that's only one model, right? I mean, you have the cradle to grave, the old school, which was always expected. That was all it was, is, 60-40, 50-50. Even today, there's still companies that do 50-50, but they have a massive arsenal of resources for their agents. They're just north of me, about a half an hour. They used to be considered the OG of double brokering, but everyone still got paid. I think we all know who they are. I got sleeper cells all around here. I'll hear people walking and talking, and I'm like, okay, I know who you work for.
Sleepers.
They're fucking sleeper cells, man. You gotta be careful.
I mean, what could make a company have a 50-50 split work? I mean, what could somebody honestly offer that somebody would say, I don't want 20% more money?
Assets, training, corporate closers, corporate will jump on a plane, you go up, you close these big deals, and have the ability to service enterprise.
Sorry, just 1 second. They told me I have my prison beard going on.
I just noticed that. You got that coming back, man.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild comment, man. Just to glance over, I think.
Going back to the Amish days.
Yeah, I think we're gonna leave it like this, though. I don't think I'm gonna grow it back the way it used to be. But okay, so I mean, okay, having assets, obviously. What kind of training could possibly be worth 20% of your money? Like
formal training. I'm talking, like in-depth, real training, paid training. I was lucky enough to have it because I joined with one of the top, probably at the time, top 10 agents of said company. And he literally had a whole nother office dedicated to nothing but training. So we had, I think, 5 weeks, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 training paid. So you're coming out with, not some online crash course kind of thing. You're coming out with real live training where you're doing live calls, role playing, everything else. It wasn't AI or anything like that. It was human to human. But so that's what I was getting to is that's the cradle to grave model, and what now has evolved, and I think mostly because of the larger brokerages that are W-2 based. They're only training split model. So it's either you're selling and managing accounts or your operations, you're doing track and trace or carrier sales, what have you. And for the longest time, I was like, what is carrier sales? I'm like, oh, that's dispatch. But I realized that it's evolved so much. So now you have your cradle to grave, you have your split model, which is really enticing for a lot of the, I would say, newer generation in the last generation and a half, really. We've done really well with that, with placing people with the right teams, but allows them to be 1099. They pretty much minimum double their income right out of the gate, and they have the flexibility. And then they're like, well, I need health insurance. We've negotiated that. We've negotiated health insurance for 1099. We've negotiated sign-on bonuses. I mean, if it makes dollars, it makes sense. That's kind of how we look at it.
I think the best sale I ever heard on the split model in my entire life was, I can't remember who said it to me, but they were like, just tell the guy to do split model. He can't give us the freight and sit on a beach somewhere and collect his paycheck. I laughed so hard at that because, it is like enticing, right? If you don't want to be in operations, you just want to sell, you want to handle your customers. Maybe you're just kind of burnt out. It is a good system. It has its value. If
you have the right support, even though the commission structure is lower than a cradle to grave, it doesn't allow you. It allows you to focus on sales, so you can build your book faster and larger. I have a good friend that is literally that example. He's almost 5x his book in 7 months, just being able to focus on sales and account management and no operations.
Yeah, it's brutal.
And that's why I can sleep at night. It's like, dude, this guy's just killing it. He's almost tripling his income. More than
I've just heard the horror stories, man. It's funny to me because obviously as a dispatcher, I thought that most carriers would operate the way that we did. And then I became a broker and I realized that wasn't true. And now I'm in brokerage and I see the way our team operates and I just kind of figure that's how it probably is everywhere. And then I hear the stories of people going split model and their ops team just costing them customers left, right, and center. Yeah. So, I've heard some really bad situations with the split model if, like you said, the house is not in order.
That's why you have to have the right vetted brokerages. I believe we have 15 right now. They're all unique and they're all badass.
I think it was John Rogers, said something to the effect of, would you hand off your $1 million customer to like a 22-year-old kid who's been there for like 3 months? You probably wouldn't, would you?
Yeah, not at all. But if he's hungry now, a year or two from now, maybe, yeah. But that's what I did when I had my brokerage, or my agency rather. It was cradle to grave. But I had sub agents. I'm going to give them about $1 million in rev, and they would rock and roll with it. But, they worked from home. They loved it, and it worked out really well. But then again, burnout is real. And then we have the cradle to grave, you have the split model. What I'm seeing evolving now, because some of this technology is actually just amazing, it's creating a hybrid split model. So, which means an agent can come in and do cradle to grave, but if they have the right tech stack with the proper operation support behind them, they can still get their 65-35 or 70-30s, but almost be a split model because of the operations efficiency that these tech stacks that they create.
So is that something that's happening right now, or that's something that's in the near future?
No, it's happening right now. Like we had a conversation 2 days ago, I believe it was. He'll probably join, and after the call, uh, agent or after the interview, because usually I always, I'll do an interview with the agent, with the client as well. And when we did a debriefing, he's like, man, he was like, I was almost going to give up and get out of the industry. He's like, I was so burned out, and I didn't realize that there's different brokerages like this until I met you. And I'm like, that's what I strive to do. That's what makes us different. It's not just, like I said, selling a job. I mean, as far as agents, I don't follow up with them. I'm not sitting here working the CRM and saying, hey man, how's it going? You didn't sign, and try to sell them like a used car salesman. It's like, shit, dude, if you don't want to help yourself, I can't help you anyways. But if you want to have a discovery call, and if you're at least interested to see what options are out there, let's go. You got my attention all day long.
No, I love the fact that you actually highlight the different parts of the industry, and you're not just the guy that's like, if you're not cradle to grave, you shouldn't be in trucking, you're stupid, like you can't make money any other way. And it's like, man, people are actually humans. They are going to burn out. They are going to, like that guy, for an example, right? Like he's ready to quit freight because he didn't want to cover the freight anymore himself, and just didn't even realize that there's options. And I think it's just kind of annoying to watch her to be like, oh, you have to be cradle to grave. You have to be cradle to grave. Like
that sounds like some Reddit bullshit.
Yeah, like it just doesn't make sense, right? Like humans are humans. We're all gonna fight burnout in trucking operations. It's not like a if, it's a when type thing. So.
Absolutely, I've done it twice, man. And I've had a couple. I lost my father 1 year. Next year it was my grandmother. The year after that was my mother-in-law. And when you're running, a book the size that I had, it's hard to take those 3 o'clock.
Yeah, there's like no time for life, even like those events. Yeah. Like it almost makes you feel numb to those events, because it's like the freight doesn't ever stop. Like it legitimately, like I got those feelings in dispatch. Like when you go home, you can't even stop thinking about where your trucks are and what's gonna happen tomorrow. And it's like, I don't know, man. Like it takes a toll on everything. That's for sure.
Mentally too. I mean, even physically, like I started noticing like my hair would start balding right here. And I'm like, what the hell is going on with this? And then it would start balding a little bit over here. And I'm like, that's stress. My wife's like, yeah, you haven't left the house in 8 days. She's like, you want to go to Walmart? I'm like, hell yeah, let's go. Like
you got the broker balding, bro.
Yeah. I mean, it was because I would work all day in my office, and then I would go out back to my lanai, turn on the TV, and just find myself bullshitting with drivers, because I loved my drivers. Some of them are still really good friends. I mean, hell, I've built websites for them. I mean, it's just, if I can help, I will.
I think that's one of the funniest things I've ever heard. They just walk by the mirror and be like, oh, I think of like losing hair from being a broker.
Yeah, it's real, man. Broker balding.
Let's get into something fun, man. I never asked you this, and I think it'll be like a fun thing to get into for a few minutes here. So cold outreach in the form of like LinkedIn DMs, or even, I guess, emails. Like, what are some things that you would recommend people not do? Because somebody asked me this the other day, and honestly, I've never even thought about it. Like, I don't know, whenever I get a LinkedIn DM, for the most part, I read like the first 5 words. And most of the time, that's as far as I go with LinkedIn DMs. But
do your homework, man. BCS, I was there a couple weeks ago. That was a blast, man. It was really nice to meet a lot of the people that I've interacted with over the last couple of years. Everyone was working that roster list, and it wasn't until after BCS that I happened to look at my spam folder. Dude, I had like 20. I think I got 28 spam emails in there.
All right, let's put this on hold for a second, because we have a question that you're gonna have to answer. Where is AI helping brokers and agents most in their daily work, and where might it start to hurt the human relationships the industry depends on?
Where is AI helping brokers and agents? On the operational side, if you look at stuff like FleetWorks or Lane Surf, those reduce a lot of your operational inefficiencies, carrier calls, inbound, outbound, quoting, and then where would it might start to hurt the human. I don't think it. As long as you have a human in the loop, you always get a human in the loop. AI is just a tool. AI is simply a tool. It's just like it used to be, a rock and a stick. We call it a hammer. It's just a tool, but use it. So I would say, yeah, AI is mostly on the operational side. It seems like they've really tried to address the ops pain points more than sales, because you can't replace sales. I mean,
I think the best sell I've seen from the AI tech companies lately in freight was like basically let us take away the stuff you shouldn't be doing so you can get back to the stuff you should be doing. And I think that's been like a really human sell for me.
That has been the sell of AI since I can remember, at least going on 5 years. They've all said that because people were afraid. They're like, "Oh, AI is going to take our jobs." So they came out with kind of like that canned response of, it's not going to take your job. It's just going to help you be better. Wink, wink. What it means is that, what used to take 5 people, now you only need 1 human in the loop and some badass software.
This guy said a wink. I mean, it's a comforting sentence when they say it, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It makes you feel good until it doesn't. So.
Yeah. And
hey, did you see the robot, the human robot thing that's supposed to live in your house?
No way in hell.
No, but have you seen it?
No.
No, you got to Google this, man. It's actually hilarious. So, like, basically, this company started this, like, it's got a robot to do your laundry and dishes and stuff. And they launched this product, and it was just a dude somewhere overseas wearing like a VR headset, and he was controlling the robot. So they didn't actually build anything. And yeah, they got like really in some hot water about it. But I watched a documentary on it, and basically, it's the first robot that looks like friendly. It has like this like fabric face. Like it's not made out of like metal and like steel and stuff. Like you can't see visibly. So they're trying to make us like more accustomed to having robots in our life.
Dude.
Yeah.
I mean, even like thermostats are on Wi-Fi, everything's on Wi-Fi. What happens when your Wi-Fi doesn't work correctly? I mean, I had this problem yesterday. They're redoing some fiber around here, and my garage door is like just one offline. I'm like, I can't open my garage door. I'm like, bullshit. But what if it was connected to everything else?
Machines took jobs, computers took jobs, the internet took jobs, AI will take jobs. We're just gonna evolve.
What's up, Nick?
I mean, Ryan, were you part of? I mean, I'm not trying to be like this isn't like it's gonna sound a lot worse than it is. Like, were you moving freight like before computers?
No, man. Just when I got in, I think it was like 2011 because I sold. Yeah, because I sold my marketing company in 2010. So 2011 is when I got in. And I looked around and I'm like, man, this industry has got a bunch of stuffy old guys running it. And this technology is just already legacy outdated. Even from the name, the Internet Truck Stop. And I was like, oh, that can't be real. Like, oh, that's a funny name. Like, okay, that's from like the 90s. But however, we did have a dispatcher. She was our track and trace. And when we would put together a load, there was like 5 or 6 pages. We would staple them and then put them on her desk. And then she had like the plastic organizers. And it was like in transit, ready to deliver. And it was...
This is 2011?
2011, 2012, yeah.
Are you joking?
I think she was paid like $10 an hour full time.
Wow, that seems like 1990, not 2011. I mean, trucking is like that's the thing with trucking, right? Like we're just behind in a lot of things, and I kind of don't think it's a bad thing anymore. When I first got into trucking, I realized that I was just watching how stuff was being done, and like the Excel sheets and the Google spreadsheets, and I was like, so much of this stuff is like a joke, even like look at the old DAT, like how it looked physically. It didn't look very good. Obviously, I liked the old DAT. That's a different conversation.
I think we all do.
Yeah, let's not go down that road. But like, I used to think that there was all these like, inefficiencies and that trucking needed to evolve and we needed more tech. And now that it's starting to happen, I just kind of realized that like we don't really need it. Like, I mean, you can actually get everything done with like minimal tech. So.
Yeah, less is more. Less is definitely more.
I mean, what are you most excited about when it comes to this sort of automation stuff? I mean, what like I guess we can't talk about that one thing that you're trying to keep
Yeah.
secret.
Well, that one is pretty cool. I mean, it's already out there. It's already out there, but we just want to do kind of a formal announcement. You know, AI. It's like there's a keyword and AI to the ass end of it, and it used to be .io, and I was always like, "Who's in the Indian Ocean?" But now it's AI.
It's pretty funny because there's one website I use for video games. It still has a .io, like it's a .io website. It's like, yeah.
Which just means they couldn't get the right domain because people bought them up and squatted on them. Which I mean, I do own a few of those as well. I did that. That was my gambling money right there. But yeah, it's hard to say, man. I mean, there's a good point to AI. You still need a human in the loop, but there was a movie that I watched probably about a month ago, and it was called Idiocracy.
Oh, is that the one where they go to the future and everybody's like dumb? Yeah, I watched that movie actually pretty recently
I've
too.
seen it. My brain is like always looking for something in society that relates, and I'm like, I don't know when that movie came out, but damn, that was.
They were so. That's the one where everybody's dumb, right? In the future.
Yeah, because they rely on, like the guy sitting there and just like feeding them automatically. He's just like, nah. He can barely speak and shit.
The guy gets his law degree from Costco.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, that movie terrified me, actually. It actually made me so scared because, like, these guys made that movie 20, 30 years ago, and it's actually starting to happen, some of those things.
That's really, I haven't looked it up. That's how old it is?
Yeah, that movie is really scary, bro. It's like, I think it was made in the early 2000s, 2008 or 6 or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, and, like, they were, like, yeah, that movie is actually, it's really funny, but, like, when I finished watching it, I was, like, I left worried.
We're all doomed.
Yeah. Like I just started getting worried. I was like, man, because they made that point, right? Where it's like people that are less educated keep having kids because they're less educated. So they just make bad decisions. So they have more kids who then just keep having kids. And then like it just eventually gets to the point where nobody has an education.
Yep.
I was like,
and then watching the news, 2006 reminds me of the news today. That's why I don't really watch it. But yeah, Idiocracy. I'm like, my wife looked at me like, wow. I'm like, I know, right? Like, you can see it here. So to answer your question, is there any like cool tech that I expect or waiting on? Not really, man.
Yeah.
I'm getting to the point now where it's like, I less is more. Keep it as simple as possible. There's still a human.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right. Exactly.
Not a thing.
You can't dunk it.
All right.
Forget it.
Let's get back to the ways to reach out to people that you should be doing versus what you should not be doing.
I would say, the DMs, I do the same thing. I'll scan over it really quick. Most of it doesn't even relate to me. Like I was saying with BCS, I get 26 or 27 different spam emails. And they just went to spam automatically. There's only one company that picked up the phone and actually called me. And I answered it. And a week later, I was talking to them at BCS. So out of all those companies that were, marketing to us and saying, hey, carriers like, hey, I'm going to be there, blah, 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 blah. The funny thing is when I was walking around, the category they had me under was freight broker, because the person that ordered my tickets put me in the wrong category. So everybody thought I was a freight broker, but good thing was I was there with a friend, and I'm like, no, but he's a freight broker. You talk to him. You can help. He can help you. DMs, we don't do a lot of like cold in mails. I mean, my assistant will do some depending on what kind of campaign we're putting together, but a lot of it is just putting ourselves out there and just being known. Just visible, being visible. That's the key, I believe. Because like I said, we don't take a hard sales approach. We look for people who want to help themselves. They come, if they come to us, then obviously they have some kind of interest, and now it's, hey, let's go through this, and we've had agents that, we have one that he's been an agent for 20 years, and we found him a new home, and we sat down when we got the offer, and I do the same thing every offer. I print it out. I got one I got to do tomorrow morning. I print it out. I grab my highlighter, and I go outside, grab a cup of coffee, and in the morning, go line by line. If there's anything that I think that is not balanced and fair for both the broker and the agent, then I'll discuss it with the agent. From there, we'll go through some redlining, with the broker, and come to an agreement. And he's like, dude, no one has ever done that. I'm like, this is full service, dude. Like, this is what we do. Like, this isn't
That seems like such a missed opportunity for. I mean, like, honestly, now that you've said that, like, imagine not doing that for your.
And you get stuck with something. And some of those words are kind of funky, especially if you got a broker that's all about themselves. And that's a dead giveaway too, is if, when we talk to different brokers, I'll ask them, hey, send me a copy of your current agent agreement. And I'll look at the wording. And the wording tells me a lot about that broker and their mindset. If it's I, we, and it's not us, such as the broker and the agent, I can already see where their mind is and where their thought process and the kind of company they're running, I guess you want to say. And most of the time it's a red flag to me. And I'm like, I can't represent you. Like, this is not going to work out in a fair and balanced way for both the broker and the agent.
What have you been seeing being like sort of the top reasons people are moving around lately? I mean, from, like, you have your book of business. Why would you even want to move? What's motivating the moves?
W-2 side, obviously everyone's running lean. Money's expensive. Yeah. They're moving the goalpost. That's always an easy one. You hear announcements of companies, and within a couple of weeks, you kind of I expect my DMs to kind of flood, and they do. And then when you start doing the math and talking to them, and they're like, wow, I've always wanted to go independent, go 1099, but, and I'm like, good, let's address every single but. Whatever we need to negotiate, right? Let's make this happen for you if that's what you really want. So that's more on the W-2 side. Why agents move? It's usually not for anything negative, except for there's a few brokers out there that have good sales people, recruiters. That's why we call ourselves advocates. We're not really recruiters. They will sell these agents hard and tell them everything they want to hear. And usually about 90 to 120 days in, they start seeing the writing on the wall. And then
you start to see the cracks, and the perfect dream wasn't actually like that.
So then, that's when they reach out, and then they're like, wow, you have 15 brokers. Like, okay. I'm like, well, you got pitched to one size fits all, So
I mean, what motivates an agent that's been in a company for like 5 years, let's say, something like a year,
okay,
5,
easy.
Whatever.
Very easy. Their book evolves. So they early on were like, hey, if it's freight, I'll figure out how to move it, and we'll be a jack of all trades, until they started really dialing in and going, finding a really good niche. Because I mean, that's always the best part, or the best way to do it in marketing, is niche down. So they'll start evolving into that niche. And within that niche, there's special needs, such as, a TSA training or a TWIC, or, whatever it may be with drivers. And they're, agent 136 in a generalized way, whereas there might be another brokerage out there that specializes in exactly that niche, to where they know how to support that book, because that's how they're built. That's what they're built for.
That's a fair answer.
Those resources and the extra tools they have that are geared for that particular niche. Now agent calls Mr. Shipper and was like, hey, I'm over here, and now I have X, Y, and Z in my toolbox. And they're like, well, there's about 40% of freight that we haven't been giving you because you haven't had those tools. But since we've been doing business for years, let's go, and we'll give you a chance. And that's when you start seeing those books double, triple, quadruple, within a few months' time.
Yeah, that's actually fair. Also, a question I've been meaning to ask you, which I just keep forgetting every single time that I talk to you. How much percent, or what percent of someone's book do you think kind of doesn't follow over? I mean, is it like standard? I mean, I've always heard 20%. That's like always like some random, I don't even know who came up with that number.
The easiest answer is depend. It depends. Now, when
No,
I
of course.
transferred my book twice, I lost nobody. But I did it in a way where it took about 3 months to transfer it over. And I was on a non-exclusive agreement, which meant that I could be an agent for 2 different brokerages. So we started transferring everything over. Now I can tell you when someone tells me their numbers and they don't give us a TMS printout, and the only thing I ask for, or I tell them rather, is your offer. The strongest offer is contingent based on you showing your numbers. I don't want to see your shippers. I don't want to see your carriers. All we want to see is a trailing 12 months, load count, revenue, GP, right? That's it. And if they can't show it to me, we're all in sales, right? It's in some aspect. So we're going to be overzealous. I always deduct 30% right off the top. And my clients do too. Some of them deduct 40%. So it's like, hey, let's set the right expectations now. And if you really are telling the complete and honest truth, surprise, good for you.
I think it was the last podcast. I laughed so hard, man, when somebody, I can't remember who said it, but they were like, when people want to see a prospective agent's book, like before they come over, they're like, oh, we want to like check out your book, and it's like, oh, you just said them like all the shippers' names.
Oh, shit.
I laugh so hard at just the thought of somebody doing that. Like, oh yeah, let me show you all my shippers, and like, oh, I wonder why I lost these customers.
Yeah, because there's brokers out there that will post their agents or tell them, oh, you're just a one man, you can't support that shipper. Bullshit.
Oh, that made me laugh, dude. Just the idea of sending somebody your entire customer list just to maybe work there.
Yeah. I mean, we'll do an NDA. Like if they can't figure out how to download a report, most of your W2 guys and gals can't download a report because they kind of keep them in the dark, right? So we'll get a lot of like screenshots or whatever, and we'll send an NDA over, no problem. I mean, I don't know how much shipper information I have. It's like, I don't even care. I delete it. Like, I don't see it. I don't care. But yeah, you just gotta be careful with, like you said, because there is brokers out there that will do that. Another thing that I'm really seeing evolve, man, that's kind of like recruiters. I think I posted this last week, maybe. Recruiters are on the front line as well for gatekeepers when it comes to fraud. And the last 4 months, I've had some very questionable individuals just randomly go to our website or hit me up on LinkedIn, and they're like, hey, I'm an agent. I want to move to a different brokerage. And usually by the end of the conversation, they're like, well, I'm not in the States. And it's like, where are you? Oh, well, my business is in Wyoming and I'm in Armenia. And it's like, sorry, bro. Like, I don't have a single broker client that will even look at that.
Yeah.
And damn well, that's so, the old deck.
I've been like a really big advocate for outsourcing, and I will always be an advocate for outsourcing, and I will always be the guy that says outsourcing is good for support roles, it's good for dispatch, it's good for carrier sales, it's good for night shifts, it's good for all that kind of stuff. But like actually winning freight and getting freight is not really. I don't agree with it either, because it's like, how are you getting freight in a place? Like, it just doesn't make, like, the whole idea doesn't make sense, right? Like, you're getting the freight, but you live somewhere else. And I don't know. It's a weird one.
And most of your forward facing stuff, should be in the States. You somewhere where you want to travel, you can shake hands, kiss babies,
Yeah, like I don't mind outsource for support things, but I just think it's weird to like, I don't know. It's weird to me. That whole idea is weird to me.
So, I mean, like I said, there's been some very questionable people, or their margins are like 5%. They're like, hey, I got a book. And it's like, you're running lumber loads out of a sweatshop in India. It's like, it's not working.
All right. On that bombshell, man, you have any other recruiting stuff that you want to touch on, or maybe some closing words on Purple Squirrel?
Stay nutty.
Just keep moving those lumber loads.
5% margins on that bullshit, dude.
Jesus Christ. All right, we got 10 minutes, man. Let's get into some fun stuff, man. You asked me to ask you what your favorite movie is. I don't think that's what you asked me. Something along those lines.
My favorite movie, my go-to at all times, is Saving Private Ryan, or Forrest Gump.
I'm gonna show my age here again and say that I've never seen Saving Private Ryan. And I've seen a lot of movies. Like, I love movies. Never watched that movie.
Forrest Gump, it's another good one. I'd love to be a
Forrest
ghost.
Gump is.
I just want to mow grass, man. It'd be fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch Saving Private Ryan maybe tonight or on this weekend. That's something I need to watch that for sure.
It's I've been watching this thing called Being Eddie. It was about Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, I just saw that on Netflix. I actually wanted to watch that too. Is it any good?
Yeah, it's legit. I didn't really know, about him like
Oh,
that.
I don't know anything about him, but I just know that he's in some funny movies. I know nothing about the guy, actually.
More than I even knew, because he was coming up. Because I was born in the early '80s, and that's when he was coming up. So there's like songs like, what is it? I just want to party all the time. I had no idea that was Eddie Murphy.
Wait, he sang that song?
Yeah, and he's got a little musician in him as well.
All right, TV shows, man. Favorite TV show and more like recent TV show you've been watching.
I've been binging Anthony Bourdain. No Reservations, The Layover.
The Layover is gangster. That's such a good show.
I mean, I'm talking like the last probably every night, 3 weeks straight. I mean, to me, he was just a good dude.
Yeah.
He had his demons, but if I could have his job, that'd be awesome.
I think The Layover is one of the best cooking shows to ever exist. Like, it's just a good show in general. It doesn't have to be because it's about food. Like,
well, I mean, I like to learn different cultures through their food, and I'm kind of lucky enough to where we live here in St. Augustine. Everything downtown is mom and pop. There's 0 franchises. So there's a really, really good food scene and a good local winery too. But
oh, dude, don't get me started with Toronto. How much I miss living in Toronto, man, with all the types of foods we could eat from like people that lived in those countries, man. That was like legitimately one of the best cities on earth for stuff like that.
I never really thought of it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, Toronto's crazy, man. I mean, you have literally a person from every country that's making their food from that country. Like, you can eat anything you want in Toronto, man.
That's dope. I would love to check out like Asia.
I really want to go to Japan. I'm thinking. I think I'm just gonna do it because I've always wanted to do it, and I'm thinking I might just go there like soon. But I saw that the flights are the same price in the winter as they are in the summer. So I was like, I don't know why I would go there to be cold if I'm not even saving money.
Well, let's talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, I really want to go to Japan.
We 100% want to go to Japan. We were talking about it just last weekend.
Yeah, I'm like dead serious because I saw Seoul, South Korea, and then I can't remember where in Japan, but like South Korea is really cheap. I didn't know that. Like, I thought it'd be more expensive. But okay, let's definitely talk about that. Iron Chef America. You ever watch that show?
I don't like the reality type shows, man, where it's like it's not fun. I mean, even
have you seen it?
I think I've seen maybe once or twice.
That's one of my favorite shows. You should go watch that.
Or what's the other guy that's always off the hinge?
Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, like whatever, man. I don't know. But
Sports and music. Before we get out of here, what you been following any sports?
I mean, not really. I mean, football is always on the back porch with friends. Usually a little bit of dollar gambling, what have you. I grew up in a football town. I played football because that was a cool thing to do. Not really my thing. I'm more into golf, and obviously you can see behind me, fishing is my love. It's my passion.
I love fishing. I actually love fishing too.
That's where I find my center. Music depends on the mood, man. I mean, I was banging some prong earlier this morning, going to get a coffee. I was like, hey, it's 8:30 in the morning. I'm just gonna let these subs eat. And they just crank that shit up, man. And everybody's walking their dogs, and I'm just like, But
you gotta send me that song, man. Actually, I'm so curious.
It's old. I think it's old. It's like the back of the Motorhead times, and then obviously a little Slipknot, some Nero Forte, depending on the mood. But then I can go right to like Big Brass. We went to Tedeschi Trucks concert a couple weeks ago.
Let me hit you with this. I started listening to rock music in the gym for some reason. I don't know why. It just like hit me to go. Okay, so I don't know much about Linkin Park, but I don't even know what album this is. Give me a second. Is the album called Hybrid Theory? How much do you know about Linkin Park?
A little bit. It was the early 2000s, so I mean that was
Okay, I don't know if you could see that. That album
Yeah.
is like literally 7 songs in a row right now in my playlist. Limp Bizkit is back in the playlist.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard Livewire by Motley Crue. That's a sick.
Yeah, that's the 80s. Now the other stuff was early 2000s.
Okay, yeah, so that's all I've got so far, about 9 songs. But yeah. So.
Fred Durst has got some funny stuff out now.
Yeah, Limp Bizkit is sick. Like I miss that guy actually. I miss that music. Like,
I'm more into the hard stuff or old school Metallica or No Prong, which is my newfound thing for some reason.
send me that. I'm curious.
And then I can switch right from that to go to like big brass band Chicago or Tedeschi Trucks. It depends on the mood because I mean I have a surround sound out back, so when we're having bonfires and stuff, we turn the music on, but there's certain music, I can't go out there blaring Slipknot to the neighbors. So it's like, all right, we're gonna change this up. And my neighbor, he's a musician as well, so he's real low key. He's got a different genre. He's into that, Grateful Dead and slower stuff like that.
Oh my god, yeah! I can't wait to send this clip to the 2 guys that work with us, our two update guys. They're brothers. Every single time I go to these guys' house, they play like a 72-minute Grateful Dead song, and it just sounds like. And they always tell me like the good part is about to happen, and it just sounds like the same song for 72 minutes. It doesn't even sound like music to me. So yeah.
Yeah, it's well, like I said, I didn't know anything about Tedeschi Trucks. We were out to the concert, and I had a little bit of tequila and a few beers, and my neighbors
sounded good.
It was good, dude. I mean, it was like I kept saying, "Oh, this is like an Entourage. This is like an Irish song's like an Entourage." And my neighbor looks at me. He's like, "What the hell are you talking about, man?" He's like, "You mean Encore?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's it." But every song was like 10 minutes long. It's just crazy.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. Grateful Dead is so funny to me because like you don't even notice that it's on until you notice that it's on, and then you're like, "What the hell are we listening to?"
Right? Yeah.
That's my reaction every single time.
Yeah, it was. But I was raised on classic rock, so that's always kind of my default.
Yeah, I'm like weird. Like I'll go from like gangster rap, like in my office, I'll just be bumping gangster rap, and I'll go to the kitchen and just start listening to like some like jazz, some like sick jazz violins. Like when I'm cooking, like if I cook food, I want to listen to jazz. Like,
I mean, I remember when the Chronic came out. I was in 6th grade, man. That was the coolest thing in the world. That was
all right, man. Last, I don't remember your chicken wing choices, so we got to run it back one more time.
Well,
drums or flats?
I would say drums.
Okay. Ranch or blue cheese dipping sauce?
I put ranch in everything, dude. Pizza, wings, you name it.
Did you ever hear somebody call ranch Midwest ketchup? Because that's pretty funny.
That
was you that did that?
That's what I call it.
I can't. Somebody said that to me. I've been laughing about that for like 3 years.
Hidden Valley Ranch Light.
And breaded or non-breaded?
I would say breaded.
All right. That's respectable answers, man. For once, I thought that nobody was gonna say drums ever again because I'm on like a past 10 podcasts have just been flats. So.
Really, yeah. It's actually making.
I'm a drums guy.
Smoke some this weekend. I got a good idea.
Smoke some chicken wings, we won't take that one out of context.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm gonna make the editor clip that and send it to you, and then put on the Chronic glasses. That's 100%.
Yeah. I'll send you.
All right, man.
Thanksgiving.
Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking care of all the agents out there and actually supporting them to finding their new home and not looking at them like they're just a number, man.
I love what I do. Appreciate it.
And also thank you for the intro to the podcast. I don't think that anybody's ever going to make me laugh that hard starting a podcast.
It may evolve, like I said, turn it into a starter pack, sell it on Amazon.
Yeah. We'll bring you back once a month to see how it's going.
We'll start painting the walls. All right, bro.
Take it easy, bro. Have a great weekend.
You too, man. See ya.
That's going to wrap up our podcast, Ask the Base, with Ryan Smith and Purple Squirrel. We're going to have to clip back, if anybody missed it, him showing up with his own podcast studio. I don't get to be in my studio today, but we'll be back next week in our regular location. Have a great weekend, everybody. This is actually just like an hour.
Two men
missed the bike cutoff.
One mission.
The open water is a beast.
One unforgettable story.
20 minutes out from the start of Ironman. I'm having some regrets here, man. Dude, I want a better bike. Oh! Ah, there's one, but